Today, we are diving deep into the weird and, let's be honest, often deliberately confusing world of financial language. Consider this your personal survival guide, a decoder ring, if you will, for Wall Street's secret code. And it's all based on Jason Zweig's absolutely brilliant book, The Devil's Financial Dictionary. So let's get into it.
I mean, right from the jump, you get the vibe, don't you? This is not your typical dry textbook. The whole point here is to make you laugh, maybe cry a little bit, but most importantly, to really learn how the financial world actually speaks behind closed doors. And hey, a fatter wallet? That's a pretty nice bonus.
So you might be asking, why does a book like this even need to exist? Well, it's because we're living in what the author calls a gilded era of gibberish, where so much of what seems to glitter is, well, it's not gold. The real problem here is how Wall Street uses, and let's be real, abuses language.
And this, right here, this is the heart of the whole thing. It's the book's main point. Look, every profession has its own jargon. Sure, it's partly designed to keep outsiders out. But in finance, that jargon isn't just confusing, it's often a weapon. A tool used to hide risks, to disguise fees, and to make frankly terrible ideas sound like the next big thing.
And this really lays out the stakes, doesn't it? If you don't get the lingo, you're not a partner in your own financial journey. You're what they call a pigeon. You're the mark. So learning to decode all this nonsense is really about taking back control. Let's start by learning to speak their language, but with the devil's own definitions.
Okay, now we get to the really fun part, the definitions themselves. This is where the humor has some serious bite and the wisdom really starts to sink in. So get ready, because some of your most basic financial ideas are about to get turned completely upside down. Oof, yeah, that one stings a little, because it cuts right through the noise. It calls into question the very idea of expertise that so many people pay a fortune for. Now, the book isn't saying every broker is a fraud, but it's forcing us to ask a really tough question. What are we actually paying for? Is it genuine skill, or is it just a very confident guess?
And you know, it's not just cynics who feel this way. This quote comes from John Bogle, the founder of Vanguard. We're talking about an absolute legend in the investing world. So when a giant like that tells you that you need to understand the fibs and fables of Wall Street, you should probably listen.
Ah, the IPO, that shiny new thing, the exciting chance to get in on the ground floor of the next big company. But just look at this definition again. It totally flips the power dynamic. The people selling, the insiders, they have all the information. The buyers, well, we just have the hype.
And there it is, the punchline that also doubles as an incredibly useful mental tool. So the next time you hear about some hot IPO, just whisper this to yourself. It's a simple, super memorable way to force a little healthy skepticism into the conversation before you get totally swept away by all the excitement.
Okay, you got to get ready for this one. AAA. For decades, this was the gold standard of safety, the absolute highest credit rating you could get. It meant an investment was basically a fortress, practically risk-free. That was the traditional thinking. But then, 2008 happened. And there you have it. That is literally the sound of billions of dollars in safest quality investments completely imploding. This single joke just perfectly captures how the meaning of financial words can be totally hollowed out by reality, leaving investors who trusted those labels with, catastrophic losses.
If you ever wondered how some people in the financial industry actually view their customers, well, here you go. The book points out that terms like Muppets and pigeons have genuinely been used inside big firms. It is a chilling reminder that to some, you're not a client to be served. You're a duck to be fed right up until you're ready for the plucking.
Now, look, it's really easy to just point the finger and blame Wall Street for all this deception. But the book makes this incredibly important pivot. The industry's tricks and traps only work because our own minds are kind of pre-wired with biases that make us vulnerable to them.
This quote from the physicist Richard Feynman is it's everything. We are masters at rationalizing our own decisions, especially when it comes to money. We tell ourselves these elaborate stories to justify our choices, basically fooling ourselves into thinking we're being smart even when all the evidence is screaming the other way.
And anchoring is one of the most powerful of these mental glitches. Basically, our brain just grabs onto a number, any number. It doesn't even have to be relevant, and it uses it as a reference point, an anchor, for every judgment that follows. And you better believe financial pros are masters at dropping these anchors.
This example from the book is just perfect. An analyst throws out a completely absurd price target of $1,000 for a stock that's trading at $150. Your rational brain immediately says, no way, that's insane.
but the anchor is now set. And suddenly, the idea of the stock merely doubling to $300 doesn't just seem possible, it seems downright reasonable by comparison. That is anchoring at work.
So now that we understand Wall Street's tricky language and our own mental glitches, how do we actually fight back? Well, the book gives us a fantastic toolkit, a set of core principles for survival. Let's walk through them.
Okay, think of these principles as your shield. First, you have to accept that luck and just pure randomness play a huge role. Any forecast is, at best, a guess. Treat it like one. Second, make jargon your enemy. If someone is using a bunch of complex words you don't get, they are not trying to educate you, they're trying to intimidate you. Your job is to either ask questions until it's crystal clear or just walk away. And third, markets change, but people don't. The same cycles of fear and greed from 100 years ago, they're still driving the bus today.
Next up, you've got to respect financial gravity. Trees don't grow to the sky, and neither do stock prices. Believing this time is different is probably the most expensive thought in investing history. Then, you have to understand the real product. Wall Street's true inventory isn't stocks or bonds, it's hope. The hope for a richer, better future. They profit from your dreams, so it's on you to keep those dreams grounded. And finally, maybe the most crucial point of all, the real battle isn't you against some Wall Street wizard. The real battle is in the mirror. Success is all about controlling your own impulses, sticking to a plan, and not letting fear or greed make your decisions for you.
And really, that's what this all boils down to. This isn't about turning you into a financial wizard overnight. It's about tuning your ear. It's about giving you the tools to tell the difference between actual insight and just sophisticated-sounding nonsense that's designed to separate you from your money. What you do with that knowledge, well, that's up to you.